welcome back to another episode of The Butterfly Effect. My name is Della.
I'm Felicia.
Hello, I'm Colleen.
Welcome back. It's nice to have you for another episode. This week's talk is all about body talk. Apparently, our bodies talk. Not only all over, meaning different parts of our body talks to each other, but also they talk to us. And sometimes we need a translator, a body talker, a body talk practitioner to tell us exactly what our bodies are saying. So welcome, ladies. I'm excited to have this talk tonight.
Me too. I'm looking forward to learning. I've got my note paper out and ready to go.
I want to welcome everybody who's watching us tonight on this amazing conversation. We're going to learn so much. Honestly, our conversations are getting deeper and deeper, and I find that we are learning so much together. So I hope that our viewers also find some benefit in spending this hour with us. And if you find this talk beneficial, share it. Press that share button and share it with other people. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, please remember to press that subscribe button. And also remember to give us some comments, likes, shares on Facebook is highly appreciated as we're trying to spread this message to more and more people. So, tonight's presentation is going to be done by Felicia, our body talker practitioner. And Felicia has had years of experience in integrative medicine. And she is, oh my gosh, a fantastic nutritionist. She is an energy healer. She's got so many different expertise. I honestly don't know them all, but she's she's an expert in all things wellness, and she's going to teach us a whole bunch of stuff. But first, before we start, I want to make sure that Colleen, you say hi to everybody, and then we can start our program.
Hello. It's been a month since we saw everybody, so hello, and I hope I know, right? But so I hope everyone's doing well. In Canada, we've got some snow, but it started melting this week, and so that's always good. And I just welcome everybody. Like Della said, I look forward to hearing people's questions. I have a few of my own, and I look forward to Felicia enlightening us about what body talk is and what that means for our body and how it helps. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Amazing. So before we start, I want to make sure to let our viewers know that we will be checking out the comments in the comments section. And if you could leave us your comments, your questions, your experiences about the topic. And I want to ask Felicia to please kind of introduce yourself and what do you do and what makes you an expert?
Is that a question addressed to me? Oh my goodness.
Why should we listen to you, basically?
Well, I've been in integrative medicine, or I've been a practitioner in an integrative medicine, natural health medicine for 19 years now. And I've started with homeopathic medicine. I'm a regulated homeopath. And we did have a talk on homeopathic medicine topics, so I'm not going to go into details what that means. And honestly, going through my own healing journey, I realized that I need to add to my homeopathic practice more than just homeopathy. I realized that everything is into everything, and everything affects everything else, and we need to learn more and more and add more tools to our toolbox in order to address all areas of our body. And when I tapped into Body Talk back in 2004, I didn't quite understand back then, what is this Body Talk? and how does this really work? And honestly, I was even skeptical. Very scientific side. I use my left side of the brain more than the right. And my passion and expertise is in mental health, such as anxiety, stress, depression, PTSD. And I find that body talk system of medicine complements my homeopathic practice. And that's why I wanted to talk tonight about it, because though it's been around for quite a few years now, back in the 1990s it was developed, not many people are aware of this body talk therapy. So let me start with what is body talk.
Perfect.
And body talk is a complete holistic therapy which provides a whole healthcare by addressing the entire person rather than just one specific issue at a time, which we see most often in our conventional medicine doctors. Now, body talk, it recognizes that every experience in our life, every choice we make, every injury, every shock, be that physical, emotional, spiritual, genetical predisposition, environmental influence, they all contribute and have an impact on our health. So it recognizes the importance of the whole, and it respects the body's own needs as it determines each time what is the priority for healing at that very moment. And I'm going to explain, because you're going to say, okay, what do you mean, right? So
What do you mean?
okay. So it was developed by a doctor by the name of John Velheim, and he's an Australian chiropractor, an acupuncturist, and a teacher. His contribution took place when his own health was threatened by a disease that doctors could not find cure to. So he was literally given 3 days to live. And he was also a postgraduate in kinesiology, bioenergetic psychology, sports medicine, and counseling, to just name a few. Quite a few things he's done. It's the easiest way to go is by explaining that there are 3 principles to this body talk approach. And the first is the premise that the body can actually heal itself, which I'm sure you've heard and you are aware of. Now, the body can heal itself provided that the internal communication pathways are intact. And you may say, okay, so what affects these communication pathways? And I will say stress of all kinds. So let me start with, let's say, healing itself. Are you aware? Do you agree that body has that ability to heal itself? Have you noticed that?
Yes,
that
definitely.
when we get hurt, most often than not, the body heals on its own.
Yeah, just a simple example is when you get a cut, right?
Yes, or a broken bone.
Mm-hmm.
I like that the best because the doctors put a cast on to align the bone, but the body does the healing, and I think that's incredible. Now, throughout life, we experience different forms of stresses, and I'm going to go through a little bit just to kind of analyze of how this body talk really works and why it is so important to consider it. So we have stresses and of all kinds, and when they come one after another, almost like a storm, and I'm sure we all experience that at one point or another, it can cause our body to shut down. So especially if we aren't able to keep up with this ability to cope and manage these stresses, that's when the body shuts down. So, we have stresses every day, really. Like we have stresses at work, we have stresses at home. It could be simply just unrestful sleep that causes a stress in the body, a headache, an injury, you name it. Talk about financial stress, talk about pandemic stress. Now, when we lose this ability to cope, our body's response is to freeze, to numb our emotions. So we no longer feel the pain because pain is what we react to. So when we are no longer able to feel our pain, our internal communication pathways are also closed off, which results in our brain not receiving the signals from the rest of the body. So when this is left unaddressed for a long periods of time, it leads to degeneration, it leads to illnesses, and of course, our body natural ability to heal itself is compromised. So it goes into this fight flight that takes place, and what happens to our emotions? They also get stuck. So what are we experiencing then will be feelings like anger, irritability, sadness, worrying, guilt, etc., which results in our body getting depleted more and more of its own energy, therefore leaving us hopeless and exhausted. Have you experienced that? Am I making sense with these examples? That was the question.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. No, I was thinking about everything you said. Yeah, it makes total sense. Definitely experience it.
Okay, so
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that our body is constantly communicating within itself. Different parts of the body are always communicating with to other parts, and that sometimes something happens, a stressor of some sort, where it hinders that communication. And with prolonged exposure to that lack of communication, is that your body starts acting out in other ways because it's not. Am I understanding that correctly? Or
yeah, keep on going. Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. So go ahead. I'll ask my next question later.
Oh, okay. I thought you have a question, so I'm waiting. Okay, you got it. So basically, there are things that happen, and the body shuts down. The internal communication pathways are disturbed or non-functional, and then degeneration happens if we not treat it or we don't address it, and illnesses and issues, right? Now, that's correct. That's very correct. So, see, the problem is not so much the stress itself. The problem is the moment we are not able to manage. So when the little stresses that happens on daily basis are unmanageable, then you know you've reached a point where I'm at the end of the rope. Then you come and see me for a body talk session. Just kidding. Okay, so let's go back to what you just said, that everything within our body is in a constant communication. And that's very, very true, because the body is a very complex mechanism. And each system, cell, and atoms is in a constant communication with one another. Now, unfortunately, as mentioned before, all these stresses of everyday life can compromise these lines of communications. To address this, the BodyTalk system provides a simple and effective form of therapy which facilitates the body systems to be resynchronized so they can operate as nature intended and effectively respond to stress, to injury, to illness, to trauma without being depleted of its own ability to heal naturally. Does that make sense so far? Any questions? Because you said you have a question, or that can wait.
Well, I'm not sure if you're going to answer it later on. So ultimately, so Mike, I'm curious about what is the difference. So say you do a session, a body talk session with me. Mm-hmm. What is the difference in my body before and after you do the session? And this might be something that you address later. That's just what I'm curious
Absolutely. We will definitely answer that question. Yeah. So let's just learn how to crawl, walk, and then run. So kind of, because if I go and explain, then it's like, huh? What? No. Okay. So how does the BodyTalk works? So it works by first identifying the weakened energy circuits within the body. So the practitioners, like myself, use a form of neuromuscular biofeedback mechanism, very, very similar to kinesiology, along with an extensive protocol chart And we navigate through the body to locate energy circuits that need repair. This is also how the practitioner gets the yes and no answer to all of the questions as we navigate through this protocol chart. So let me explain further. So the BodyTalk process can be explained easily in 3 steps. Did we lose Della?
We did. I'm sure she's going to pop back in. So yeah, I would just
like,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and continue. There she is. Yep.
So I didn't want her to miss this. So the BodyTalk process can be explained in 3 steps. First step is to ask. The second is to balance. And the third is to restore the internal communication. And you will understand what I mean as I go further. Now, for every malfunctioning energy circuits found, the practitioner or the client will contact the corresponding points with their hands. And then the practitioner taps the client's top of the head, top of the chest, which is the heart, and the belly button.
Testing your speakers on StreamYard. Sounds like they're working. Have a great show. Testing your speakers on StreamYard. Sounds like they're working.
I think Della's trying to make things work. Della, we can hear that music. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
I don't hear any music. I don't know what's happening. Do you hear music?
Yes, you didn't see us dancing?
No, I honestly don't hear any music at all.
It stopped now. You're good.
Because I lost communication I even lost video.
Yes, we lost you for a moment, and then you popped back on.
Now
and then when you came back on, we could tell you were doing something, and then the music came on. So that's okay.
What kind of music was it?
It was a good dance break.
That is so weird, you guys. Okay, so let me see if I can make this. How about now? Is it gone again?
The echo is on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
It's all good. So where were we? Colleen, do you remember? Bring me back.
You were talking about the 3 components sorry, I got a little tick on my throat.
Okay. I was talking about
the head, the heart, and then the belly button.
Okay. So now tapping in itself, it's been used for many, many, many years. Particularly started with yoga. But tapping is known to facilitate the restoration of communication and to implement a new normal by helping to strengthen the communication to your instinctual responses as opposed to the conditional response. Okay, so in BodyTalk, however, the tapping is done in a very specific way. So I'm going to explain that before I can go further so that way you understand. So as I said, there are 3 places we generally tap with each balance that we do. So that's the head, the heart, and the belly button. And I have to kind of the belly button, okay? First, we tap over the head. This stimulates the brain center and causes the brain to reevaluate the state of the body's health in order to facilitate changes that are needed. The result is that the general energetic communication within the body is greatly improved. The energy brain is sort of like a computer update, if you may. So your body is very much like a habit driven. So you do constantly the same thing today that you did yesterday. So by tapping the head, we install a new update, which directly influences the nervous system and stimulates a new potential by bringing the attention to the brain, and from the brain to the area of the body where there is room for improvement. So in other words, the body will work at its best after this is done. It's important to mention here that when you tap over the head, it's very important to cover both hemispheres of the brain, which is the left and the right. Okay, so such like this. I will demonstrate later as I will be teaching you all how to do one of the most important techniques in BodyTalk. So second, we tap the chest or the heart. And the heart area is tapped because the heart is known to be responsible for communicating the state of the mind body with the rest of the body through the heartbeat. So by tapping here, we remind the heart to store or save these new changes. Just like, when you hit that save button, when you work on a document, let's say on a computer, and if you save it, you can easily access it next time you need it, right? Now, the third tap, as I said, is around the belly button or the gut area. And this is to remind the gut to follow suit and digest, assimilate, and integrate these changes. Isn't this amazing? Like, even the thought of doing that?
Yeah, it's super amazing. And I don't know, Della, if you can see, I've got on the Facebook, I've got it open. I can see a whole bunch of comments from somebody named Udan. I don't know if
That's Samir, actually. His name is Samir, but yeah, he goes under Udan. Yeah, go ahead
Oh,
and
okay.
read those comments.
Cool. I just wanted to acknowledge Samir and say thank you, because I see them and I'm reading some of them as we're going, but I'm while I'm listening to Felicia
I
explain.
feel like there's a couple of questions also from a
sure.
Facebook user. So actually, Samir's asking, are we talking about chakras?
Oh, okay. So BodyTalk works with all 12 systems in the body, including chakra systems. Yes. Not only, as I said, we have 12 systems, so we work with all 12. What I love about BodyTalk is that it remembers every session, and it receives, therefore, a healing such that as you go into the healing process, you continue to heal, and each session builds upon the next session. Because as I said, we tap, and each time we tap, we remind that with the tap of the heart, we remind our body, we save that information, right? It's like that save button that we, as I said, on a computer. So back to another important note here is to remember that BodyTalk has no contraindications. So therefore, there are no interactions with other therapy forms or medications. It can be used as a standalone system or in combination with other therapies or healing treatments of any kind, because if anything, by opening and rebalancing and resynchronizing the energy systems in the body, that will increase its overall effectiveness of any other therapy.
So are you saying that it only helps and it doesn't do anything negative? It only brings more positive, it only helps by increasing the communication within your body.
Correct.
So there's no danger involved with using something like BodyTalk.
That's correct. Yes.
Cool. Neat.
No side effects.
No side effects. Yes, and it can be used by all, from infants to elderly, pregnant women.
Samir is saying it's like energy brain reset. Is that correct?
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah. And so another Facebook user, I don't have a name, says that questions. So the question is, when I have a body part in pain, talk to it and place my hands on it.
Mm-hmm. Is there a question? If she has a pain, she should talk to it and put up the hand in place?
Yeah.
Sometimes that may work if you touch, but remember to tap. So you kind of remind the body to work with that part of the body that it's in pain, with that part of the body that it's not receiving the flow of energy, the flow of blood. There is some kind of a blockage that's causing the pain.
So you mentioned that later you're going to show us a practice that we can do.
Yes.
And so based on the question that we just got, will the practice that you're going to show towards the end, will that help us understand better what we can do in the event that we're experiencing something that we would like to address?
Absolutely. I certainly hope so.
Okay. Cool.
Yes. So now you may ask, okay, I I understand now how this body talk works, somewhat, right? Now, how would you know if you should consider body talk session? I'm asked all the time, so when do I know? How do I know if I should come and see you? So I sort of, throughout the years, I realized that you can honestly ask yourself one question. Have you ever felt overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, or in pain, emotional or physical? And no matter what changes you do or what treatment you have encountered or gone through, you have explored pretty much everything. And somehow, maybe some things worked at one point, but now they no longer work. And everything seems to be fine. You go to the doctor, you do blood work, everything is fine, yet you feel that there is something wrong. You can't put your finger on it, and neither can doctors or tests, right? And despite that everything seems fine, you feel like something is wrong, and you still have maybe body pain or discomfort, or you just feel wrong, like something is wrong, right? You just can't manage. So then you can consider coming to or going to see a body talker who can explore and facilitate what's going on and understand, will explain to you too.
In the promo, you had given us a list of conditions or situations that body talk can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Is if I'm experiencing one of those. So I know that anxiety and depression, and there was a whole list of back pain. There was a variety of things in there.
Mm-hmm.
If I were experiencing one of those, could I just go straight to you and see if that's helpful, or should I go through my doctor first and then come to you after I've ruled out other choices, or
That's
a combination?
a good question. So honestly, at any given point, you could come to a body talker, absolutely, and you will find a relief. That does not replace the need to at times go and have yourself tested through, proper medical tests, let's say, right? It will not interfere in any way anyway. If anything, as a body talker, I will facilitate your body's innate wisdom ability to heal itself by, again, resynchronizing those internal pathways that have been blocked. And what's interesting is that the body talk facilitates this healing in a, I don't know if you caught it earlier, I said in a priority sequence. And let me give you an example. Priority sequence doesn't mean, I was going to talk about it later, but since you came here, like I'm going to talk and, what does it mean? I'm asking the body different questions. And by asking the body, I'm not looking for problems. I'm looking for what is right now at this very moment that it's impeding upon your body operating at its best. So the best example, let me think. The best example will be, let's say you come to me and you say, I've done some tests and it looks like I have a problem with my liver. So let's say you're laying down on the table and you want me to check your liver, let's say, right? To see, does the liver come up as a priority? And then if you are to have, let's say in that very moment, a mild heart attack, do you think the priority right there and then it's your problem liver or is the heart attack? Mm-hmm. So this is just an example only because the body knows best, right? You may come with, I don't know, a pain in your leg, but the priority is to address your indigestion from yesterday. And that indigestion has caused that pain in the leg. Are you with me? Does it make sense? Or not really?
I think so. I think I'm getting it.
Okay.
Della, are you with us? I know you had some technical difficulties there.
This reminds me a little bit of Reiki. Is it at all anything like Reiki? Because this is the first time I'm hearing of body talk. And so to me, it seems like you're talking about blockages and clearing them. And so that reminds me a little bit of Reiki. Is that anything like Reiki at all?
So let me give you an example of how body talk is different from other therapies. So you know how you go to a Reiki practitioner and they work with the chakra system, right? Then you go to a chiropractor and they work with central nervous system. Then you go to a massage therapist and they work with your musculoskeletal system. And the list goes on. When it comes to body talk, it works with all those systems together at the same time in an energetic way. So it's non-invasive. So of course it could sound like, oh my gosh, that sounds like Reiki. That sounds like chiropractic. That sounds like, why? It's because body talk integrates the latest discoveries from science, psychology, genetics, psychology, quantum physics, ancient wisdom, and Eastern medicine to help reconnect and resynchronize healthy communication within all levels of the body mind. Ta-da! Come on, guys.
I think it's fascinating that our bodies are so capable of doing so much, and we take it for granted, and we often rely on external remedies, medication and so on, and so we don't really give ourselves the benefit of the doubt that they can heal themselves. So I'm looking at the comments and I want to read some of them if that's
Please,
okay.
absolutely.
I don't know if you hear an echo right now. I'm trying to speak really low because something happened with my system when I got booted off. Okay. So Samir says, first the Facebook user who was asking about, so if I feel a discomfort, I put my hand and speak to my body. Uh, that Facebook user says, I guess I'm wrong. Apply a pattern of disruptive movement in sequence, beginning with the head, brain, then the heart, then a third part, which
It's
was
the
your
belly
belly
button,
button.
right on top of the belly button.
Yes, yes.
Mm,
So they're listening. Samir says, pain or pleasure, all are temporary, as I practiced in Vipassana, a meditation technique. Just watch it, and
mm.
and it shall pass, I believe, in impermanence. Does body talk relates to that somehow? Watch it and it shall pass. So observe it and it shall pass, as opposed to doing anything about it, I guess.
Well, in body talk, we don't just observe and let it pass, because we tap the body to facilitate that resynchronization of the pathways that are disconnected. Imagine a light bulb, right? That has all these little wires, and then poof, it goes off. Then you don't have light anymore. That's kind of how our brain works, how our body, internal communication work. If there is on one wire that is not connected and the brain does not get the signal, then something is wrong. You're gonna have to experience something either right away or eventually. So if you just become aware of the fact that there is something disconnected or there is a blockage somewhere because you feel the pain, and you do nothing about it, it will not resynchronize itself, or it will not fuse back. Would it?
Okay.
Like the light bulb, we change the light bulb. In our case, with our body, we have this amazing ability to just literally tap the body and bring it back to its normal function.
So the Facebook user is actually our friend Ahmed Hawari.
Mm-hmm.
He just wrote that down. Yeah, if you don't allow Facebook to display your name on StreamYard, it won't. I know. So thank you so much for clearing that up. I hope you're doing well, Ahmed. Thank you so much for joining us. So Samir says, it is always you. You are the creator of the problem. Body will let you know where you went wrong if you listen to it. Is that it? Body talk sounds impressive.
So the truth is, you are the creator of your reality, of your life. However, most often than not, we ourselves cannot be free of prejudice and sit back and observe and understand what we need. That's why we need someone to facilitate that. That's why we need someone like a practitioner that it's trained and studied and understands how this works to hold our hand and help us take one step at a time. Right? It is not helpful enough to be aware of the fact that you have pain, to be aware that you are depressed, to be aware that you have anxiety. And sometimes, even as a practitioner, when you experience this to a point that you can't manage them, you yourself need to go to see another practitioner. And you know what I mean? Like, I have my own body talker, I have my own homeopath.
If you want things to change, you have to change the things you do, right? So you have to do something different. Otherwise, it could only get worse, because you're just going to keep building up the same negative energy or the negative connections or bad connections. So I have another question.
Absolutely. I
So
love it.
if I understand correctly, you can do this in person and remotely, correct?
Correct.
So if I were to say, Felicia, I would like you to perform, and I don't know the terminology, so forgive me if I'm using the wrong terms.
Okay.
But if I say, I would like you to perform body talk with me, what can I expect from that? Like, what would that look like? What would it be like?
Make my body talk to me. That's what I would say.
So often, instantly you feel relaxed. Okay, this is what other people have said.
I mean, what are you doing and what am I doing? Like,
So
what is the treatment? What's entailed? What does that look like?
so the treatment, okay, so how do you start a session then? Let's go there, right? You like, so basically, either way, we start with the questionnaire, because I need to understand where your health is at and the reason you come to see me in the first place. Okay? And then I have you, regardless of being in person or remotely, I'll have you lay on your back, either on your couch, on your bed, or on a massage table. In the clinic will be a massage table. And you are fully dressed. You have your arms beside you. I have to say that because sometimes, it's like, is it like a massage therapist and I going under the sheets? No, you're not. You keep your clothes on, your shoes on, and you keep your hands beside
Darn
you.
it. That takes me out of the equation.
Why?
Just kidding.
So
By the way,
again,
Ahmed Hawari says he can use your help.
I'll be more than happy to. So please reach out, Ahmed. Reach out. I'll be more than happy.
And I know that
I
we're
would
going to
feel honored,
share
actually.
your contact information towards the end of the show. So
Yeah, and we are friends on Facebook, I believe, Ahmed. So you can, or
there you go.
Instagram.
Yeah.
We can connect that way too. Yes, absolutely. And
So I'm laying on the couch, or I'm laying on your massage table, and with my arms on my sides, I'm fully dressed and comfortable. Now
yes.
what happens?
And then we start breathing. The first thing we do is start breathing. So I ask you to take a deep breath the best way you can. And what I first do, I actually assess your diaphragms. You have three. You have the chest, you have the solar plexus, and you have the hips. And they're supposed to expand and contract, expand and contract. So I watch how you breathe, and that in itself tells me where you are at. And if you hold your breath, what's going on, right? Because sometimes you cannot inhale, other times you cannot exhale. Sometimes if you have grief, for example, it's to do with your lungs. So you hold it up here in your chest and it's constricted and you can't you can't breathe properly. Like we do breathe, but we're not breathing consciously. So I will go through it trying to help you, teach you, or facilitate that. Say, okay, try to breathe through your belly button, or try to breathe through your chest. Then I'll use, as I said, I use the biofeedback mechanism. What's that? So I'll take your hand if you are beside me, and I'll lift your hand to the side, and I'll get my answers, yes and no. And then I have a chart and a full, all kinds of different questions that I ask. And what I love about Body Talk is the first question ever is, do I have permission to work on you today or right now? And then sometimes the permission is not there because you may be going through some kind of a trauma or stress or a shock, and your body shuts down, as I said earlier. So in that case, I will ask, is it the mind? Is it the spirit? Is it the body? Is it a general permission that I need? So then I'll actually ask you to say, I give myself permission to receive today healing through Body Talk. So then I start working and I ask more questions, and then I go and navigate through the body, through the whole system, and see, what do we have to balance today? What's in the priority today that needs to be addressed? Is it an allergy? Is it dehydration? And the list goes on, like it's extensive protocol chart.
So are you asking these questions out loud, or are you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You are part of it. You
Okay.
are part of it. And you are not part of it because I want you to become aware of what I say, but because your subconscious mind is aware. Your innate wisdom is aware. So as I talk through with all these questions, and I find what's sometimes, let's say it's your inability to have, let's say, the left side of the brain working together synergistically with the right side of the brain. So then I do this technique called cortices, which I wanted to teach you guys. So through this technique, I will balance the right side of the brain with the left. And there is so much more that happens. So why don't I teach you that? Let's experience this. And then if there are any other questions, then please bring them on. So
I think that's great, and I'm excited. Also, there is a question here before you move on. I want to ask that question, but
absolutely.
I mean, you kind of addressed it, and I think it's worth talking about maybe at a full show. Let's talk about mental health issue because it's hot these days, where the patient is in denial. How do we help those cases with Body Talk? They
Very
don't
good
even know
question.
they need help sometimes. That's true.
Well, first of all, let's remember that even though consciously we may not be aware that we need help, if you end up in my office, in my clinic, most certainly your subconscious mind has, or your innate wisdom has brought you there. So you consciously may be in denial, but subconsciously, unconsciously, you know that you need help because you're there. Are you with me? Unless you had your hubby, push you in and said, here,
Yeah.
Body Talk. They need Body Talk, right? But the beauty of it is that we are all energy, and you don't need to say, I want this. I can actually, the reason I want to teach cortices, it's because it's a technique that can be used on its own at all times with no permission. Okay? And it's the most important technique.
Okay, so wait, I want to be clear. When you say with no permission, meaning you can perform this on someone who's not even aware?
That's correct. It's the
Wow,
only
of being
technique.
that
It's
is
the
really
only
cool.
technique in Body Talk that can be actually performed
That's
that
really
way.
cool.
It's
And
like sending somebody positive vibes, but you're consciously doing a Body Talk practice.
Yes, believe it or not, it's been used in people in coma, and has revived the person from coma. Just
yeah,
this technique alone.
that's really cool. It's intriguing. Let's hear
Yeah.
about that. Also, Ahmed Shah is here, and he says hi to the angels.
Hi, it's so good to
So,
see you guys.
So that the last question really sparked something in me. So if I know that if I know of someone who is going through a hard time, they haven't reached out to me, they don't know, I can do this process that you're about to show us
Mhm.
and basically send them some body talk healing just
Mhm.
energetically without.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay, I can't wait.
Okay, so as I said, it's called the cortices technique, and it's considered the most important technique. And the good news is that it can be used all the time, as many times as you need it, and every day. And you do not need permission. If you see someone suffering beside you, you can do it without permission, without their permission, because you're not, again, you are trying to facilitate healing. You're not hurting that person. What's unique about this technique is that it addresses the entire body-mind complex by focusing on balancing the brain, regardless of what physical or emotional imbalances may be present at this time or at the time. Now, the theory behind the cortices is that all symptoms, conditions, diseases are reflected at some level in the brain. So after we tap the cortices, the brain function, it's improved, the body symptoms are relieved, the overall stress it's reduced, and our mental clarity and relaxation are also improved. So your body, your mental, you have clarity, you feel relaxed instead of overreacting or reacting. Really, you just find peace. It's just that amazing how profound it works and how fast. So it's the only technique that can be used without asking, as I said, for the permission. Okay. So now, are you ready? Now, you can do this, as I said, laying down on your back or standing or sitting the way we're going to sit today, and we're going to do it. There are 5 hand positions that I'm going to show you. And with each hand position, we must tap the head, the heart, and the belly button. What's important is that we must remember to take deep inhalations and deep exhalation with each hand position and with each time we tap. That's very, very important, okay? So these are the 5 hand positions. So I'm going to turn around for a bit so I can show you. So there is one here at the base of the head, okay? That's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. So I'm going to explain it. So we're going to start with our hand at the base of the skull, okay? Not your neck, but the line between the neck and the base of the skull, okay?
Does that correspond with the 5, like with the lobes of the brain?
With all of, yes, absolutely. Yeah. The occipital starts right here. So like so, we hold the hand. So remember, we take a deep inhale and we take a deep exhale, okay? We take inhale and exhale. And as we inhale, we exhale, we tap the head. Remember, we want to cover both hemispheres of the brain like this. Absolutely. Very good. Inhale again. Then exhale. And then we tap the heart gently. And the same. Open up your hand a bit. Della, I think you're doing it with just the fingers. Try the whole hand. Inhale. And exhale. And then the belly button. Inhale and exhale. Now from the hand position, whatever your pinky finger is, you replace the pinky with your thumb and you move your hand up. And that's the second hand position. Okay?
I love how precise her explanations are.
Now we take an inhale and exhale. And tap the heart, the same thing. Inhale and exhale. Inhale.
So we're doing this as we're doing
Exhale.
this, Felicia. We're doing this for someone else, you're saying.
We can if we think of someone else.
Wow.
But right now we do it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because we
It's
have
the
to
same.
we have first to learn, right?
Mm-hmm. But so the same technique is what you use for somebody else's
Absolutely.
healing. That's
I'll explain in a moment. So the third hand position, it's right above here, the crown. And now we tap on top of the hand. We take a deep breath. And exhale. And tap the heart. And exhale. And tap the belly button. Then the fourth hand position, it's covering the forehead. And we continue tapping and breathing. Inhale and exhale. You can close your eyes. Sometimes they're helpful. It's helpful. Sometimes it's not. Depends on how you're feeling. The heart. Inhale and exhale. And then the belly button. And now remember, when we tap the head, we remind our brain to balance the right side of the brain with the left. When we tap our heart, we remind our heart to store that information, those changes. And we tap our belly button to remind the gut that we need the gut to digest, to assimilate, to reestablish those communications. Okay. The fifth hand position is holding the limbic brain. So we put the base of the hand right on your forehead, right here at the temples, and we go such like this. Can you see? And now we hold the limbic brain. We take a deep breath, and we exhale. Then we take one hand and we tap the head. And now we can put the hand back. So just to remind the brain that we're working with the emotional brain. The limbic brain is the emotional brain. So we want to make sure we are emotionally balanced. Take a deep inhale and exhale. And then we tap the heart. And one more time, we put the hand back. Inhale. Exhale. And you tap the gut. And if you can, do the both tappings. Tap and the gut. If not, just one at a time. Ta-da! This is the cortices. How are you feeling?
Oh my gosh, that's so lovely. Thank you.
Do you feel lighter? Tell me, you feel any changes? And I want to ask both Ahmed. We have two watching. I hope they're still there.
Yes.
So
Do you guys feel anything?
Samir
besides-
says, beautiful feeling already. And
You
he
feel?
says,
I didn't hear that.
he says it's super. One of the Ahmeds, I don't know which one, says, I have had the privilege to have Felicia perform body talk on me, and I can't explain quite what she does, but all I know is that you float off that massage table feeling lighter, at peace, and with more clarity.
Oh, thank you.
And they say, amazing, great exercise. Oh, Hawaii. That was Hawaii.
What about you, ladies? What are you feeling? Anything?
Well, I love tapping. Tapping has always given me um, a little bit of a relief from whatever I'm going through. So this time, I think maybe I wasn't quite relaxed or anything like that. So I didn't really feel the full experience. The whole time I'm thinking, how can I use this for somebody else? How can I use this for somebody else? So, but yeah, very beneficial. Thank you.
So how can you use this for somebody else? Imagine, let's say you are with your mother and she's not feeling well,
Hmm.
and she's beside you. Let's start with that. The same hand position you use on yourself to tap, you do the same thing on her head, and you tap her. The only thing she does is breathing. Inhale and exhale. Just make sure you remind her to inhale and exhale.
Okay, so you actually physically have to
You
be with that
absolutely do it.
person.
So
Okay.
so I do Reiki and I do remote, right? So I like send somebody energy, right, remotely. And so can I do this practice even though I'm not with the person and do it remotely without them giving permission or even knowing that I'm doing it?
Absolutely.
I love that.
So you can do it by tapping your cortices and imagine them, doing it on them, or you can use a surrogate, we call it. So let's say I have actually a big teddy bear, and I use the teddy bear to connect to the person, and I can do it either um, via a video call or even while the person is asleep. But I do ask that they give me permission before they go to sleep. So that way I don't have to, right? Because they are not physically with me. Some people just prefer that. And the changes happen because remember, it's all energy. And it's a matter of learning how to facilitate that remotely. It's not an easy thing to learn. But once you learn it and you'll experience it, then you'll understand it.
But I thought you said you didn't need permission for this.
For these cortices, you don't. But if I also do a whole body session, I would need permission.
Okay.
For cortices, absolutely not. But remember, I said it's the only technique in the whole entire system that can be used without the permission. If I want to do other balancing, I can't do it unless you give me the permission.
There are some technical questions. Is the tapping done by the right hand or the left hand?
It's not important.
Doesn't matter. It's not important, people. It's not important.
Whatever's most comfortable, I would suspect.
Yes, you can actually change the hands too. Like
Okay.
when we tapped our limbic brain, you can start with the left and then do the right or do both.
Okay. So the important part
Monkey?
is to remember the 3 parts for tapping and also the 5 different sections of the brain.
So let me repeat. 5 hand position. It's 1 at the base. Then where your pinky is, you put your thumb. The second, then right at the top of the crown, the third, forehead fourth, limbic both sides, limbic brain the fifth. And with each hand position, you tap the head, you tap the heart, and you tap the belly button.
Thank you. And you breathe deep.
And you take breaths always.
So can I keep that person's picture in front of me and imagine myself as him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this might be a crazy question, but can you do this for pets?
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Thanks for bringing that up. Believe it or not, BodyTalk can be done on animals, and it works just as beautifully and as effective and as fast. Yes. So, yeah, absolutely. Do cortices on your dogs. Try it out.
I'll practice on my dogs.
Now, let me read this. Ahmed is asking, can I apply this to glutes and back or different body parts with the fifth
hand positions,
tapping on the head, heart, and below the belly button?
So
instead of the 5 different parts of the brain.
So here is the thing. I can see how we can think that we can use this technique, the cortices, to restore the entire system. However, it may not work completely, right? Because the cortices technique primarily it reestablishes the communication pathways within the brain, regardless of what's happening emotionally or physically in the body. But the primary focus is on the brain. Okay, so in order to make different changes without the body, in the whole body, and then restore the communication between the brain and the rest of the body, you you need a facilitator, a body talker to do it with you. However, this brings me to, and I wasn't going to talk about it because there is no much time. I don't even know our time. But what's fascinating, that aside from the original body talk technique that was developed in the 1990 or 1998, in the 1990, sometimes then, okay, what has been developed throughout the last few years, it's this technique called body talk access. And body talk access can give you the 5 major techniques that you can do on yourself. Does that make sense? So not just cortices, there will be also 4 others that you can learn to do on yourself. If you like information about that, I can send some information. Just send me an email, and then I can put you in contact with the facilitator, a teacher that provides that body talk access. And then you don't have to be certified you just learn it to use it on yourself and on your family. I only taught you one because that's easy, and I will need a lot more time. It takes a whole entire weekend to teach you the 5 techniques and to understand, right? So yeah,
Amazing.
great questions. Thanks.
This has
Thank
been
you.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
I've
Yeah,
learned so
it's
much
really
from
good.
this.
Really
I
good.
think we have to watch it over again.
Yeah, and there's, there every time we have a talk about our body and our health, Felicia, you always amaze me with the amount of information you have, and certainly every time I learn something new, and it just brings me so much joy that my body is so capable, and my body's capable of so much healing on its own, and so I'm very grateful for all of this talk, so thank you very much.
My pleasure. I'm honored to actually have this opportunity. So thank you, Della. Thank you, Colleen, and thank you everyone who is watching. And thanks so much for the questions. I think it's very helpful to have questions, because then we can answer and understand at a different level. So
Definitely.
again, if you have any questions, please email me and I'll be more than happy to provide you with answers. And remember, cortices, balance your cortices anytime you feel you can't manage something. It's not necessary it will help with the pain sometimes, but if you seem to do it and it helps and it comes back, then it's more to it. So then go to Body Talk International .com, and you will find practitioners in your area. I'm not the only one. In fact, there are quite a few, and right now it's in 85 different countries, and we have about 2,000 practitioners worldwide, which is incredible.
Well, I don't see why anybody would want to go to somebody else when you're right here and your email information is right here, and I mean, I don't know. So
Well,
heal
here is
heal with
another part of body
Felicia.
talk I absolutely am fascinated by.
Mhm.
Every practitioner will have different set of skills with their own studies, with their own experiences. So you'll be surprised to find out that at the end of each session, I will actually ask, shall you come back to me next time, or shall I send you somewhere else? Because again, I'm honoring the body's needs, not what I want. So
Well,
if
I think
maybe you
100% of the time they say, "No, I'm gonna come back to you."
not 100% of the time.
100%. So heal with Felicia 907 at gmail.com is our body talker practitioners email. Reach out to her if you have any questions, or if you want to heal your own body. See what she can do for you. Our lives are so precious, and it's so important to live fully and any help we can get with that is fantastic. So,
Amen.
yes, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, that's our episode this time at the Butterfly Effect talk show. We
Yes,
are,
butterfly effect.
yeah. Well, I just want to announce our next date. Did you want to add something?
No?
No, okay. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, so we're gonna announce our next date, March. When is it,
Oh,
Colleen?
Colleen?
I forgot to look it up. I'm
Oh,
looking
that's
at it
okay.
right now. So
That's okay.
March
This,
17th. It's the same as this
oh
month. So
wow.
that's easy enough to remember.
Okay,
Oh, that would be
just
St. Patrick's Day.
yeah, and just before the spring arrives. So
I'll
fabulous.
see if I have anything green.
Yes, this talk is recorded. It's going to stay on our YouTube channel. Hint, hint. Go to our YouTube channel, please, and subscribe. The Butterfly Effect Talk Show. We just started that YouTube channel, and we'd like to amass subscribers. So,
And just so that people know, we uploaded all, like, we've been doing this since May of 2020, and we have uploaded the videos of all of the episodes.
I
yes,
cannot believe that. Oh,
yeah, 2
Yeah, we're
years
coming up
in
on our
May.
second anniversary
Amazing.
already. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, well done. Well done. Thank you so much for another great episode, ladies. And for our viewers who were with us and your comments and questions, your experiences, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It makes the show to have viewers commenting and asking questions. So thank you
Yes,
very much.
absolutely.
absolutely.
So,
So,
Alicia,
this is the butterfly effect, bringing you love.
hope.
And compassion.
Until next time, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.